Sasha Banks finally returns to WWE after months and months and months of social media teasing on the 12th of August episode of Raw, interrupting and promptly beating the boogers out of poor old Natalya. The segment saw Banks rather bizarrely peel off her entire scalp to reveal, that she now had blue hair? It really wasn't that big of a reveal, seeing as Sasha wasn't actually revealing anything at all beyond a bottle of L'Oreal. Splendid though the comeback was, one can't help but feel it would have been even better had Banks emerged from some kind of human-sized box, or, say, an egg. It's one of the more printable Jim Cornette truisms that any wrestler who debuts out of a box gets over. Now, the following fellas that we're about to talk about did just that when they unsheathed their faces from a selection of masks, hoods, and on one occasion, a Santa hat. I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are the 10 most shocking WWE reveals. Number 10. That's gotta be KANE'S brother. The 6th of July 1998 episode of Raw was like an episode of Stars in Their Eyes, with all manner of superstars coming in to say, "Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be a desperately problematic interpretation of the Nation of Domination." Or, in The Undertaker's case, and perhaps a little tediously, my own brother, Kane. Vince McMahon had booked a tasty triple threat main event, pitting the three men gunning for Steve Austin's WWE title, those being Taker, Kane, and Mankind, against each other. Taker no-showed, and Mankind was left refusing to fight his best buddy Kane, or as you might have gathered by now, Kane. The big red imposter had no such unease over pulverizing poor Mick, and promptly tombstoned him into oblivion to earn his title shot. There was a reason he now had an extra sleeve, of course, and it wasn't the weather. It was well-known sleeve enthusiast, The Undertaker. Number 9. That's gotta be Kane's face. A reveal as huge as Kane finally taking off his mask probably should have been saved for a money-spinning pay-per-view, not the 23rd of June 2003 episode of Raw, but nevertheless it made for one of the most memorable moments in the history of WWE's flagship show. With the aid of his Evolution cronies, Triple H naturally prevailed in the night's main event, leaving poor Kane with no choice but to submit his aesthetic anxieties to the world. Slowly removing his veil and, oddly, hair, he stood head bowed for a few reverential moments before dramatically turning his burned quote-unquote face to the camera. After all these years, someone promptly told Kane he could totally erase his disfigurement with some cotton pads and makeup remover. Number 8. That's gotta be Kane's Kane! Actual Kane this time! When the lights dimmed during Shawn Michaels vs. The Undertaker at Bad Blood 97, fans knew the power failure wasn't down to the Phenom because, well, he was already there. Logically, that's gotta be Kane, the audience thought, and the gotta was, indeed, be Kane. In one of WWE's hottest ever debuts, not just because of the spectacular inferno whipping up behind the Mystery Man, Kane had finally tracked Taker down after months of pallbearer's threats. Like RoboCop, this Stygian intruder tore off the cell door, mimicked his older brother's most devastating move, the Tombstone, and handed an easy victory to a gobsmacked but grateful HBK. Number 7. That's gotta be Kane's sister-in-law's stalker. Diamond Dallas Page voluntarily took a hefty pay cut and talked himself out of an extended holiday so he could be beaten and ultimately humiliated by The Undertaker's wife. Why WWE thought it was a good idea to introduce babyface star DDP as Sarah Undertaker's stalker can be summed up by one word: spite. By casting one of WCW's most popular products as a creepy voyeur rather than, say, an effective and potentially profitable wrestler, WWE were telling you that WCW was a joke. A joke that just happened to beat WWE in the ratings war for 80 plus weeks in a row. As positively painful as Positively Page's burial was, his reveal as the mystery sex pest was nevertheless dripping with pathos. It was soon after tearing off his balaclava that he admitted he was spying on Taker's wife as a way to capture the Phenom's attention. Job done, and he got one hell of a beating for his troubles. Number 6, and this is getting silly, that's gotta be Candy Cane. Vince McMahon managed to put himself on the naughty list of a whole battalion of the US Army's finest while delivering his Christmas address, a tribute to the troops in Baghdad, in 2003. Things got off to a smooth start when the chairman endeared himself by respectfully thanking the troops for their service. However, conflict soon arose when Santa Claus, of all people, decided he would gatecrash Vince's heartfelt missive, handing out gifts to the infantry, but not the WWE CEO. Good old Saint Nick was told that if he had nothing for the boss, then he could, and I quote, turn his big fat ass around and get out of my ring. But before he could waddle back to the North Pole, poor Santa received a clip on the bonds for his troubles, causing his little hat to fall off as he tumbled to the ground. But wait, that isn't Santa, it's Stone Cold! And unaware, Vince McMahon turned straight into a Stone Cold Stunner in the red hot desert. Beautiful. Number 5, that's gotta be Kane's future tag team partner. Summer 1999. A countdown clock begins airing on WWE programming, promising the arrival of a Millennium Man. It was an open secret among wrestling fans that Chris Jericho, having just walked from WCW, would be the man toasting in the new century. But there was no guarantee. After all, this was the company that birthed the gobbledygooker at Survivor Series 90. When the year 2000 finally hit in, August, fans were not disappointed. The moment a silhouette with outstretched arms appeared underneath the word Jericho in absolutely enormous letters, it seemed pretty bloody likely that yes, this was indeed Chris Jericho. Verbally sparring with The Rock proved the young lion had the heart for his new home. It was great stuff. Y2J spent the early months of his WWE tenure fixing the bugs in his act, but there was no denying he'd made more of an impact on night one than the whole circus of debutantes who came before him. Number 4, that's gotta be Kane's brother, again! A month on from dropping his World Heavyweight Championship to Jeff Hardy at Night of Champions 2009, CM Punk wrested back the strap in a cracking encounter at SummerSlam. And afterwards, Punk rubbed in his victory, smugly towering over a prone, defeated Hardy. Mid-pose and the lights suddenly went dark in the Staples Center. Now, of course, any WWE superstar with a shred of sense should know that sudden electrical failures aren't usually a sign of ECW-style unpaid bills, but a prelude for the arrival of a certain dead man. But not good old chick magnet Phil. When the arena lights returned with Punk unscathed, he just kind of let out a wry smile and continued his peacocking. Realization soon rippled around the arena until finally it dawned on Punk himself. Jeff had magically transformed into the dead man, only he was alive, and he had a big old chokehold in store for the voice of the voiceless's voice box. Number 3, that's gotta be Kane's brother's Overlord. 20 years after the fact, having long since transformed into a massive meme, there isn't really all that much more to add to the subject of Vince McMahon as the higher power. Yep, it was him, Austin, it was him all along, not as was inexplicably planned, Christopher Daniels. And it was, in spite of the logical loopholes, one of wrestling's best ever hood pulls. Number 2, that's gotta be Kane's brother's fantasy opponent. Sting doing his best impression of the head of Brad Pitt's wife in Seven wasn't actually his WWE debut, but it was just as jaw-dropping. Throughout the 24th of August 2015 episode of Raw, snivelling WWE champion Seth the Chef Rollins unbearably boasted that he'd be unveiling a big bronze statue in his image later that evening. When the final segment commenced with a big black box center stage in the ring, anyone who had ever watched wrestling before knew exactly where this one was going. The time came for Rollins to pull the curtain and bask in the glory of Sting. A splendidly smooth action unveiled none other than Spooky Steve, presumably bored out of his tits standing on a plinth all night, and he had his eyes set on Seth. The pair then met at Night of Champions that year, and sadly, it proved to be Sting's unexpected retirement match. And at number 1, that's gotta be Shane! 1 week prior to the 22nd of February 2016 episode of Raw, WWE began heavily promoting that 7 days hence, they'd pay homage to the very first recipient of the Vincent McMahon Legacy of Excellence Award. A gong which sounded just a little too, fake to be real. Come the night, the winner wasn't actually any of the ludicrous names unwittingly spread throughout the wrestling rumor mill. CM Punk, Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels. But yes, none other than Stephanie McMahon. Anyone attuned to broad irony would have seen this coming a mile off, but just about nobody expected what happened next. Just before the billion-dollar princess could begin delivering her acceptance speech, the words were taken out of her mouth by a familiar theme tune. Nope, not Kane this time, but Shane. Father Vince's face was an absolute picture as his son made his first WWE appearance in 7 long years. So that's our list, but what are your most shocking WWE reveals? Let us know down in the comments section below. Go and rip on the Kane joke while you're there, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And once you've done that, you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE and myself at Andy H. Murray. Bye!